Okay, so the meeting is now officially open for the First Aid Amateur Radio Club May meeting. I can't believe this year is 5 months old already. And we will start with our, do you want to go ahead and temporarily pause for the treasurer's report, Mike?
Sure.
Okay.
Where did it move to?
Alrighty, special announcements. Dr. Jeff's got the Ed Fong radio or antennas, which he will distribute the next time he's able to catch up with everyone. You can make that. I've seen the emails going back and forth. You can catch up with people.
Yeah, Wendy, it's Jeff. Right now I'm going to be on mute because, as you can hear, my voice is less than my normal gracious tone. Excuse me. Anyway, didn't want to get anybody sick. I know most of the guys said they'd be on video tonight anyway, so give me a call next week. You all have my email and everything else. I'll meet someplace in Newcastle County and give you the stuff. It's all packed up. I'll tell you, it looks really good. I have the bag over there. Don't worry about it. And we'll see you next week. And everyone, please stay healthy because I'm not.
Listen to the doctor. Okay. Mike, any other special announcements that you can think of that wouldn't come under the presentations for tonight?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. Alrighty. Any old business?
So, old business, which is going to include some of the presentation, which would be the CUSO party, which was last weekend. Field day, which is listed as old business, but that's ongoing business.
And that's a presentation tonight
business.
too.
New business for the purposes of the meeting.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Let's see. Nothing else that we need to circle back to. We still need volunteers and ideas for the back to basics idea that was floating around.
Oh.
I don't know if any of them came out.
Okay. No, nobody's really gotten back with me on that. I mean, some people have thrown some stuff out, but I really would appreciate direct emails and try to use my Gmail address that you see when I send out things to the Google group. I'm trying to get away from my Wendy RN email address these days. My personal email was just like inundated with ham radio. So one of the things I was telling some of the people that were, as you guys were logging in, was I finally got on FT8 last night for the first time. And what it was we ended up doing with a few people, we were on a Zoom call and shared screens, and somebody actually took their iPhone and showed their radio. And it was really nice. You know, like some of these things we can't do in person necessarily because you're home with your own rig or whatever, and we're not going to go over to your house and, you know, trample through everything. But with the technology that we have between Zoom and phone cameras and whatever, that would be something.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody talked about it, but doing it is something else. So we can do stuff on a meeting night, or we can do a separate night, you know, where a group of people say, hey, you know, let's get together this particular Monday or Friday or whatever, you know, Saturday afternoon, whatever. And we can do that. So please email me and let me know what you'd like to see demonstrated, programs. You know, I would love to be able to sit down and talk to our mesh network guru, really, you know, like, and see some hands-on stuff. That's another thing I want to learn. But anyway, that's just me. So just throwing that out. Does anybody have any comments for the back to basics of what they'd like to see? Think about it and email me, please.
I'd like to see somebody demonstrate one of those antenna analyzers with the graphic display. I mean, I've got a little spectrum analyzer that's what 2.5-inch diagonal screen. I think the whatever they're called, somebody help me out here.
Nano VNA?
The Nano
Nano.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
One of those guys. I see them. They look cool as all heck. They're certainly affordable. But I'd like to see somebody who's already learned it just to cover
We have a
user
special
level.
program for the VNA, the Nano VNA.
Yeah, you know, for antenna analysis and stuff like that. I've got like the equivalent of a grid dip meter, if you want to call it that. It's an antenna analyzer from HF Signals, which is on, you know, hfsignals.com. And it'll, we'll give you a sine wave where the match is, for an antenna. But what are those things? Something you could really, that would be a good demo. I'd be
Come to
willing
the
to do a
program in
basics.
August,
Sorry?
and Mike will, W3 ASW will talk all about it.
All right. I'd be willing to do one on the basics of soldering. I don't know if I'm better than anybody else here, but I know I am better than some of the people here.
Better than me.
And
Better than me.
that's what I'm just saying. I'm not a pro. I'm not trying to prove anything, but I could probably get someone like yourself started. I've got a picture of an 8-year-old granddaughter soldering a part into a through-hole kit. If she can do it, y'all can do it. 'Cause
Right.
she mastered it in like 4 tries. Okay, just saying.
Okay. Yep. So that there, and one of the things too that, and I can throw this out to El Jefe Emeritus later on, but one of the things for field day would even be a good idea for some of us to bring things and learn.
Yeah,
That was one of the things I made a comment earlier in the evening too, was that I took my general a month after having been at field day, and it was helping Jerry make antennas for the different bands that he wanted to be on. That was huge to me, to have that hands-on experience and understand what a counterpoise really was and how you calculated your lengths, your quarter wave, half wave, whatever you were doing using the bare wire. And I was like, when I took my exam, because I had that hands-on experience, it gave me that extra edge.
You actually used it.
I used it, so we can use part of that when we're doing field day in June to also do some training opportunities, because there's going to be probably more people around than there are radios to actually be on frequency. So anyway, alrighty, somebody in the room where Chet is has their hand raised.
It's me. Ted, do you want to give a program in November on soldering?
Sure, absolutely, deal.
You're on the schedule.
All right, thank you for my sins.
Alrighty.
If you're gonna give a class on soldering, you better show us how to do some SMD too. Because that's what everything is going towards.
All right. Yeah, right. Good point. I'll make a point of that.
All right. Ted, I was poking Ted. Sorry. I was poking.
It makes sense.
I actually had to get my son to do some soldering because he could actually see the thing. So
Well, there's that.
now I've got this in the meantime. So
Yeah.
I do a lot of SMD soldering, so if you want me to kind of do an adjunct to your presentation, I can. So.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah. Spend like a third of the class on that.
What month was that?
November.
Thank you.
Yeah, another thing too, and I've thrown this out to a couple of the guys just personally. What are the things that I would need to have for a toolkit for working on radios? And people have shown me, little plastic containers that they've had of, pliers or wire cutters and that sort of thing. Just to have, some kind of list, of things to buy and eventually purchase to have on the side for all those different things that we need to do. So anyway, Mike, keep us on track here. What else do we need to do under the old businessy things?
Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to collect attendance real quick.
Okay.
Give me
Can
1
you see
second.
everybody where Chet is?
I see Chet, Bill, Tom.
Joe Gribb.
Oh, Joe. Okay, who's next to you, Joe?
Ken. AC3DH.
Ken?
Yep.
Gotcha.
And we didn't do an intro. Can we kind of like segue real quick? I'm Wendy, W3NRN. Peter, give a quick intro. You're muted, Peter.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared to unmute myself. Yeah, I'm Peter, W3SBA. I just got my license back in 2021. So I have a general, but I pretty much just have a VHF, UHF, HT. So that's all I got so far. But
And I've invited you to
looking
come
learn.
down.
You have to start
I've invited you to
somewhere.
come down to Hamfest, listen to me, to Field Day so you can get on VHF. Get
Yeah,
some
is it-
experience.
What day is it again?
It's the last weekend of June.
Is it the whole weekend?
Yes.
Well, it's
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, like 10 to
Right.
10,
Saturday and
10 a.m. or 12 a.m. to 12 a.m.
Okay.
Like
I
that.
should be able to make one of those days, yeah.
Yeah.
At least
yes.
for, you know.
Operating
yeah,
Don't
starts
steal my
at 2.
thunder. Don't steal my thunder. I got this all under control.
you have plenty to say. Next up, Ken Pierce.
Hello, I'm Ken, licensed since '68, and I just decided to reread the license manuals because it's been 50 years since I took a test, and I'm actually learning something, so which is saying something for the books anyway. I'm using the.
Hey Ken, can you still see and drive? You need your glasses.
Really?
It's
You do the
hard.
eye test when you take the test when you're after 50 years, right?
Well,
That's right.
he apparently backed in a 2-axle camper without hitting anything. Oh, his wife could have done it. Okay, I forgot about that.
It took a few tries though.
Yeah.
All righty. Next up, Foster.
I'm Foster, K3FXS.
And Foster just sent an email to the thread about the grant proposal. So Joe Gribb, if you get a chance, I want you to take a look at that. We had talked about the grants earlier, and I don't want to segue right now, but we'll have to talk offline about that. Next up, El Jefe Emeritus Allen.
Wait, before you do that, we have a chance to do a visit to watch a balloon launch for next Tuesday. And it's also
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, you sent that email too. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay. El Jefe.
Okay.
Oh,
Hi
I'm gonna
there.
put that under new business.
Hi, I'm Alan. I'm W3ISR. I'll pass it on right now. Over. Let's move this meeting.
Mike. Secretary Mike.
Hi, Mike Federico, KV3RU, Secretary, Sucker.
He's chief cook and bottle washer, keeps me straight. Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, Kilo 3, Juliet Romeo Zulu. And Alfred.
And Alfred. Okay, cool. Ted Allen. You're muted.
Hey, Ted Allen, K3RTA. Hello, everybody. Not much really to add. Just again, been doing some of the park stuff and very slowly helping Wendy. I made a nice antenna and tried it with Ken out in the field. I think you'll be happy with it. If it works on my little radio, it'll do fine for a real Yezo, or something somebody actually has some time put into. You'll be happy with it. And Peter, as
Thanks.
far as only having a VHF, UHF, you can do a lot with that stuff. There's the WinLink or VAR or even straight packet stuff. That's pretty cool. And also, as others have said, the Hamfest. The Field Day. Field Day will give you a great opportunity to at least see what the differences are in architecture, little nuances, see what kind of works, and you get to read all the articles online and make a decision. And doesn't have to be the only radio you ever buy, by the way. A lot of us have been through easily a dozen radios in 20 years just because horse trading, or you like this feature, you like that feature. But anyway, welcome to radio.
Thanks a lot. Looking forward to it.
Okay.
Next up, Dr. Jeff. Real quick, I
Yes.
know you're okay. Just
Sitting here sneezing and whistling away. Good evening, Jeff Goldstein, W3DRJ, aka your antenna salesman for the club. Again, one thing, Wendy, I think you mentioned a while back, we were thinking of inviting Steve, K3MOT, to talk about DMR for one of our presentations. Anyway, I'm thinking for Hamfest, not for Field Day. I'm sorry, we're all doing the same
I
mistake.
thought I'm the only one that does that. Okay.
Senior moments come fast and furious in this crowd, Wendy. You know that. Anyway, bringing my DMR along, it's a little HT Alinco. Well, I'll tell you, I've been on the air with it a lot, just a little hotspot here in my house. And I made 20 contacts today alone around country and Canada also. So it might be an interesting modality for folks to see about. And it's both repeater-based, W3IRS up there in Wilmington, or a hotspot through your cell phone. So it's really an interesting way of working right now. So I'm going to bring that along also. and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I have an Anytone that is a very heavy, expensive paperweight on my desk.
Well, we can make
So-
it into a very expensive heavyweight and radio for you
And
also.
radio. I want to get mine up and running. Next up, Dave Scott.
You're muted.
He's trying to unmute. I see him. He's trying to.
There he goes.
Yeah, there it is. Hey, how's everybody doing?
We're good. Give yourself an intro. Some people are new and they don't know who you are.
I'm Dave, KC3BJ.
Dave is our section emergency coordinator for the state of Delaware, and he's also our Newcastle County emergency coordinator. So anything that comes out on that, for some of you new people, that's who he is. Next up, the voice of North America, Don Miguel.
Okay, Mike, W3ASW.
He's currently in a hotel in Ohio, so that's why I guess he's gone dark. Joanne, gonna give a quick intro and unmute. There you are.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. This is Joanne, KC3OVK. I was licensed in 2020 and still got a lot to learn. So always appreciate the input from folks from the group. Back to you, Wendy.
Thanks, Joanne. Good to see you tonight, hon. Next up, we have Grace, who is a new ham, and she had emailed the group a while back about some questions that she had for radio. Grace, give us a little intro, please.
Grace, KC3PBN, and I don't know Morse code, but I do know the phonetic alphabet. And I'm interested in learning about him because, well, I figure it'll be useful in an emergency. Plus, it's fun.
Yep. Well, we look forward to getting to know you more and seeing more of you. So, and we're always here. Feel free to email. We've got a lot of experience showing up on this screen here. So everybody is always willing to help. So thanks for being with us tonight. Will, one of our guys from HRO. Good to see you, Will. I don't know if he's going to give us an intro or not. Okay, we'll move on. Dave, WA3U.
Well, I just got a microphone hooked up. Hopefully it's working. This is Dave, WA3U.
He's a longtime lurker. So we'll see you tomorrow at lunch.
Yeah, I plan to be there.
Okay, good. Ken, our KC3ROF. Good to see you tonight.
Good evening, everybody. KC3ROF. I've been licensed for just about a year. Got a general ticket. I will not be at the thing tomorrow because I do have COVID.
Well, you continue to get yourself better and tell Marty I said hi.
Trying to.
Okay. And Will message, he says he has no audio. So he's in the background, but he's here. And last but not least, for the screen, Rich, WD3C.
Hello, everyone. Rich, WD3C. And a lot of people have COVID right now. Not me, but I'm lucky. I had a wedding and some other thing over the weekend, so I'm trying to stay away from people for a while. Make sure I don't have it. Good evening.
Thanks for being with us tonight, Rich. Chet, you guys want to do a quick?
WA3I, and I've been licensed since before you were born.
All right, who else is in the room?
Ken, AC3DH, and been licensed since 2018, and I'm still learning.
Bill, W3RB, been licensed for 60 years.
Joe, KI3B, outgoing section manager. I haven't been licensed as long as Bill. So, good evening to all.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. We've got a good turnout. So we are now up to, I'm going to go into the new business presentation stuff, Mike. I'm going to go over the QSO party.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you expecting me to do that?
Well, I don't know who was going to go over that. Were you prepared to do that
Rich,
tonight?
No, I don't. We're still scoring, so I'll give you updates. So the updates that I know is we're still getting some scores in. So we are still waiting till we score everything. We've gotten a few odd logs that Jerry has sent off to have looked at by the software author. We have a couple that were small enough that he manually corrected. Once again, extremely low participation from Delaware people. Even though I thought we did a much better job of advertising it out this year than before, but I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but last I remember was really low, like single digit low. That's pretty poor. It's getting to the point where it's not worth the effort. I'm sure Jerry and Rich would agree. We definitely need more Delaware participants. I mean, it's our state QSO party. So.
Okay. You know, I spread the word to, yeah.
Yep.
I had spread the word to all the club presidents that I had access to, you know, their emails, and everybody knew about it. I personally had struggled with trying to make contacts. I couldn't hear people unless I was on using, you know, WebSDR. I just don't pick up very well from here. And I guess unless I had actually been mobile and through a wire in a tree, my QSO was not going to be happening from here that day. So I'm sorry that I didn't participate. I had anticipated doing it, but I never wasn't successful from here.
Wendy, I wonder if it would be helpful if we had a program on what's involved and how you do it and that sort of thing. I don't know if there's any that are intimidated by the idea of a contest, even though it's not a contest. But maybe there's some sort of guidance we can give some of the newer hams.
That'd be worthwhile.
Well, it is definitely a contest, but that's a good idea.
How about if we decided to do something such to the extent of putting in 3 POA stations, POTA, and had people travel that weekend to the different sites and in the 3 different counties to make sure they're represented. Somebody from the club, do it as a club project, to go to 3 different POTA sites, camp out.
How about
and
considering a
actually,
different time?
Dave, were you trying to say something?
Yeah. I would suggest possibly maybe a year. I recall, at least myself, I'm busy with a lot of like outdoor yard projects and things like that, and devote a beautiful, like sitting around in a house on a radio. I don't have that time. Maybe do it like January or February when the weather's more conducive to being in the house. That certainly was an issue with me. I had like too many other things to do. Then
Well, we definitely need to move Mother's Day because that definitely got in the way.
That was inconvenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is exactly what it is. You spot on, Dave. It's right in the middle of a May, which is everybody's getting out and they're working on their houses on the weekend, and I think that's a big part of why people don't participate.
To be honest, we used to have it in February, and participation wasn't that much better.
And that's why we moved it
Why
to
we
May,
moved it.
because
Yeah.
there's the New England QSO party, the Connecticut, all those 7th area. So we moved it to that weekend, so there'll be plenty of people out there to work. and Mike's right. When we had it in February, it was a good time to be in the house, but we still only had maybe 7, 8, 9. I think the maximum we ever had was like 12. So it's not a weekend thing. It's just a participation thing. I mean, and if you look at the number of hams in Delaware, 12 may be a high active hams in Delaware. 12 may be a pretty high percentage.
Well, that's the problem. The problem isn't really other people, it's the people inside Delaware. So if you had better participation in Delaware, would you feel a lot better about it, Mike?
Well, always. I mean, the fact that it's club sponsored, the majority of the club doesn't even participate.
So so maybe we need to do a project or
I will also
exercise where everybody goes to a different, it operates just like we do for POTA and go to the different counties and activate them.
I will tell you this too.
We made a change to the rules this year. Actually, we made a couple changes. Probably the biggest change we made was allowing multi-single stations. And so if somebody wanted to do a POTA activation or operate with other people, as long as you used one transmitter, you could have multiple operators. And so the idea by changing that was if you wanted to do a Parks on the Air with your buddy, if you two could go out, both operate the radio and at different times and still submit a score. Previous to this year, you wouldn't have been able to do that. We would have kicked the log out. So we're changing the rules to make as many possibilities as we possibly can to get people to operate. And like Mike said, I've said for a few years now, and actually I live in Maryland. I can't even, I think I was the one that started this thing years ago. And then I promptly moved to Maryland. So, so I can't even participate as a Delaware station unless I go to Delaware. So, moving this party again would be a real problem because you have
we don't move it. We don't move it then. You're right.
You have to contact every software author and everybody that needs to know, and it would be a problem to do that. So we just need people to participate. I mean, we put a lot of work into this thing for 9 people.
I jumped on, Rich. I jumped on, and I tried to do some FT8 just while I had some time, and I got really confused by the instructions that were given out on how to make contacts. So I was trying to listen for others to watch and learn, and there wasn't many people. There was nobody on to watch and learn. So, I went out there and I just, I called out and nothing came back. So I don't know if I was even doing the right sequence. So again, I think the bottom line is with a little bit of prep and some training, I think we might be able to increase the participation. It's I think that might help somewhat.
Yeah, I think the FT8 instructions are confusing.
They were,
but that's the way. Well, most parties don't even allow you to work FT8.
Yeah, we got a hand raised over there.
Jerry and Mike did a lot of work to get that to work, and but right. I mean, it may be a good idea to have Jerry or Mike but actually Jerry. I know he operated FT8, but a lot of sideband over that weekend also. It may be a good idea to have Jerry do a program between now and next May, telling you how to set everything up and how to run the overlay and do all that stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, that's probably a good idea. It's a lot easier than it used to be because Jerry's really good with the software, and we've already sent I know he's already sent 3 or 4 logs and some other things off to Dave Mascara to get him to figure out what was going on. And so last I looked, we had 265 logs. Last year we had 320 or something, and the cutoff date, it's about 2 more weeks, I guess. I haven't counted up the days yet, but that's about what it is. But yeah.
Wendy, I said we get this meeting going because we got some presentations here, right?
This is part of it. It's not all about you there, Alan.
Oh.
No, that's not. I don't want to be here to 10 o'clock, Mike.
Wendy's muted.
It's 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
We're good.
let me just get caught up on some notes. Hold on.
Okay. So we have two people who are going to do some speaking. Joe is going to take about 20 minutes for ARRL. He made a
Hello,
presentation
Mrs. Mike.
at Hamfest that was very valuable for the league. So I wanted him to share it with everybody because not everybody was at Hamfest and able to go to his presentation. And Alan has to go discuss the field day. And he has a nice presentation for that too.
Why don't you get closer to the mic?
So,
It's a good mic,
Joe,
but might as well be in front of it.
Chet set them up.
Okay.
I actually have the presentation, so let me get it queued.
Fix that up from back there, but.
That's fine. It's fine. All right.
All right, hold on a second. Sorry about this.
It's okay. Stuff's great when it works.
I know.
It's working.
Oh, stop. You got it. Thank you, guys. Bye. Love you.
Kiki up here, counter.
Oh, thank you. My generator arrived and my son just is taking it away from me. And we're still trying to open up this thing. Alrighty.
That Amazon delivered TV a day early. Big
Hi.
TV says, 55-inch, Fire Stick TV. I said, why don't you just make it easy and put a red light on it too? Thanks a lot. So, of course, that was the one time my wife and I went out to Walmart for a minute.
Buy a TV? It was still there.
I was amazed. I mean, I'm in a pretty good neighborhood, but I was still amazed it was still there. Because like I said, there was no effort to hide it. Just drop this TV right there on the front porch.
Yeah.
All right, Joe.
Uh-oh, here we go. All right. All right. Well, I'm no longer in, well, I guess I am the intern section manager until July. Before I get started, for those of you that were a part of the election, voted, my deepest thank you for your support, both while I was doing the job and also while I was section manager, and for your votes. Thank you very, very much. It's most appreciated. Okay, next, please. Okay. Go ahead, keep clicking. Disclaimer. Whoop.
It went too fast.
There you go. Joe's not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. The ARRL does not dispense legal advice. We do assist members in understanding what resources are available and to help them as appropriate. And as always, your knowledge may vary. Offer not good in all 50 states. Next, please. Okay, so what type of questions does the league get? Next. We get general Part 97 interpretations. Next. International reciprocal licensing and operating questions. Next. Antenna regulation, zoning, and status of pending rules and regulations. So the league gets all kind of questions all the time. Next, please. And VC, VEC referrals, or VCE, and also there's always licensing questions. When a member needs legal advice, next. They're referred to the Volunteer Counsel Program. There are a number of volunteer lawyers available with the league that the league can refer you to. Next, please. These people are volunteer attorneys that are amateurs, so they do know what you're talking about. One of them I've been working with is an extra, so he definitely understands the hobby and what goes on. Go ahead. Next, please. Initial consult is usually gratis
to get a grasp of the issues faced. Next, please. But if you need to be retained for extended use, they do charge for the services. It's like if you hired somebody off the street. So usually the initial, they will talk to you about your issue and see if they can help you. But if you're going to hire them, it'd be no different than going to somebody in the old pages. Next, please. Few reminders. ARL doesn't foot the bill for members' legal fight. If you're being sued by somebody, HOA, neighbor, whatever, the league will not foot the bill. It's on you. Next, please. The AR doesn't get involved in personal legal issues. If I'm being sued because my neighbor's being interfered with or something else, the ARL doesn't get involved with that. So I'll tell you that right up front. Go ahead. It's important to keep your section manager, directors, and the regulatory information office in the loop on legal issues, legislation, referrals. So if you're being sued or you're involved with a lawsuit of some type, it's good to keep your section manager involved, and at least he's aware of what's going on. Next, please. Points from the council. If you comment on the FCC rulemaking procedures, you must be clear to indicate that you only represent yourself. Those are your opinions, whatever you're saying to the FCC. Go ahead. The ARL speaks with one voice, which is the boards when officially filing comments. So normally when the FCC has rulemaking comments, people are allowed to submit comments to the FCC, but you can only do that as yourself, not as part of the ARL. Next, please. The three key terms, go ahead 2 more times, Mindy. Petition, notice of rulemaking, and report and order. So that's how the FCC will make a rule. They'll come out with a petition, they'll have a point where they have some time for comments, and then they'll make a decision, and that will be what they're going to do. Next, please. ARL has a close relationship with the FCC. The ARL can provide information for interpretation of Part 97, and they can also help with enforcement questions. Now, what that means by Part 97, if you have a question about a particular rule or how does it apply or what does this mean, the ARL can answer that question for you. They can also help you with enforcement questions. If you get the dreaded pink slip from the FCC and you're not sure how to respond to this or what to tell them or what to do, talk to the ARL because they can help you get that straightened out. But remember, if you do get a pink slip from the FCC as far as a violation, you must answer them within 10 days. So you got to answer them no matter what. If you're still investigating it, you just at least got to acknowledge that you got it and you are working on the problem. Next, please. If you have an issue for the FCC, run it by the ARL RIV office first if it's a query on interpretation regulations. Next. Okay. Please do not deal with directly with the FCC as an ARL official unless you are one, which none of us are. So don't deal with the FCC that way. Again, if you have a question, like let's just throw a hypothetical here. Let's say you are operating field day. You have somebody that has a technician license. They're operating under field day under the call sign. So they're operating as, let's say, an extra, and they slip out of band and they're completely out of band. You could get a pink slip from the FCC. They have to answer this. The club has to answer to this. Okay. And then they can go by the league to figure out what's the best way to answer this and go forward, not to have a problem again. Next, please. International licensing. There's 3 ways to operate overseas. The first 2 are different agreements, international agreements for reciprocal license. The other one is bilateral agreements, which are overseas, including operating on cruise ships or while physically in foreign countries. You must have written licensing agreements beforehand and permission to operate for the captain of the vessel. Now, what does that mean? It means if you're saved up for the last 2 years to go on a cruise to the Bahamas, the minute you step on the gangplank of that ship, technically you are not in the US. You are under the auspice of the captain of that vessel, be it an airplane, be it a ship, whatever. And you cannot operate on that ship without the captain's permission. Also, if you are in a foreign country, you need to set up beforehand to make sure you have the proper paperwork and the proper documents before you go there and expect to operate. I've heard of horror stories more than once where guys show up with radios expecting to operate from the Bahamas, Bermuda, whatever, and their radios are confiscated because they don't have the permission to operate them there. So please make sure if you're going to travel, go on a cruise, go on whatever, make sure you have your documents handy. And I usually tell people, if you're only going to go on a cruise for a couple of days, spend your time drinking and enjoy the floor shows. So next, please. All right, these are some countries of registry that I pulled off the internet. You look at some of these cruise ships, for example, Carnival has registry in Panama, the Bahamas. Princess has a Bermuda, Costa, and Alba has Italy, so forth and so on. So just because that ship is docked at a U.S. port doesn't mean it's a U.S. ship. It's going by the country of registry. Next, please. Okay, antenna zoning. All right, PRB1 issues are related to public policy and ordinances. CCRs are related to private contracts. Lease agreements are between the manager of that property and the tenant. Okay, next, please. PRB1 is an FCC requirement that local governments must reasonably accommodate amateur operations. Does that mean I can put 250-foot tower on a quarter acre? Not exactly. They can still zone for height, safety, and aesthetics concern. It's not carte blanche for the amateur to do whatever they want. It is a permission for you to put reasonable antennas up, but again, it has to be done correct. And again, they can zone for whatever they want. Okay, next, please. FCC intent with PRB1. Amateur stations by the FCC should be able to communicate effectively on a number of different frequency bands. They recognize local jurisdictions' right to regulate placement, screening, and height of antennas based on health, safety, and aesthetics. I don't know what that just came up. Somebody is talking. They require local jurisdictions to take the minimum amount of regulation to meet responsibility while also accommodating the legitimate interests of the commission's licensee. Now, does that mean that, hey, I can just go and buy a tower and just throw it right there in the middle of my backyard and I don't need permits and I don't need anything? No, that doesn't mean that at all. You are still regulated like anybody else that's putting any kind of structure in to the laws regarding zoning and the laws regarding licensing and inspections for putting up anything. So that doesn't give you carte blanche, as I said before. Next, please. 32 states have passed PRB1. Really, it's 33. Next, please. In our local area, Maryland just passed it. And this is an old slide. But we didn't, New Jersey didn't. PA, Virginia, West Virginia have. New York hasn't either. Next, please. CCRs. This is a big issue right now. There's some legislation that's working on CCR relief.
Hey, it's Foster. Can I interrupt?
Shoot.
So how can we get Delaware to pass that?
I would say probably have to talk state. I don't know off the top of my head. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I'd probably talk to the league to find out that. I'll be honest, I don't know.
That'd be great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Sorry. Next. Yeah, go ahead. Your CCRs are property use restrictions, which are passed on from purchaser to purchaser. So what does that mean here? If you bought a house in the last 20 years, in most neighborhoods, you have some kind of restrictions in your deed. These are above and beyond what the county has, but they are restrictions in your deed. Above ground pools, you may not be able to put up, chain link fences, dog runs, et cetera, et cetera. The county handles things like the county says, hey, you can't have livestock in a residential area. Okay, Don't laugh. We had that happen in my neighborhood. We had a guy raising,
Llamas.
no, it wasn't llamas. I was trying to think of that bird that went, the one that has all the feathers that scream.
Peacocks.
Peacocks. He was raising peacocks in our neighborhood and they scream like heck all the time. That's a county ordinance. This is a local ordinance in your neighborhood. It's a private contract opposed to public policy. When you sit down at the table to go sign, these are the agreements that you're signing to agree to, whether 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 15 minutes from now, you decide you don't like it. These are the agreements you signed, and these are not affected by PRV 1 because this is a private contract. Okay? There is legislation in the House downstate that is working on trying to ease some CCR restrictions. It is still being worked on. I know that the ARL is working with FEMA about some of that too. How long it's going to take to come through, I don't know, but I know there's some talk about trying to make, again, reasonable accommodations for amateurs. Now, what a CCR may say, or a community may say is reasonable, well, gee, you can have your dipole at 20 feet as long as we can't see it. Well, that's great, except if you're on 80 meters where the only thing you're doing is warming up the worms. But again, this is being worked on as we speak here. Next, please. How can the ARL help? Well, the PRV1 package is available online. There are some resources. VCs and VCs are available, but it's really limited what we can do regarding CCRs since PRV1 isn't applicable. And again, this is a private contract. This was made when you sat down with the builder or the seller of the property you bought. This is the agreement you made to move into that community. Next, please. All right. Antenna problems. Section managers can be involved in antenna restriction issues. They can help make some presentations and meetings. They can help gain grassroots support. There are some resources available, which is director. This thing keeps popping right up in the middle of it.
I'm sorry, what's popping up?
Somebody's chatting.
Yeah, please don't send any chats during this presentation, please, because I'm sharing screen.
You got your director, vice directors, section employees, et cetera, that can help you with antenna problems. Next, please. All right. Now, before I go on, who are the 4 people I got to talk to before I put up a tower? There's 4 groups of people I need to talk to before I put up a tower. Who do you think I might be?
Your wife.
What? That's number 5. Outside of your wife, who are the 4? Anybody have any ideas? I'll take the chat right now. I can see it here.
The county.
County.
No, who's first one?
Your neighbors.
Nope. First person I'd be talking to before I put up any kind of tower is a manufacturer.
Power company.
Well, let me finish. The manufacturer I want to talk to because I want to understand exactly what I can put up, exactly how high I can go, how I have to guide, and what I have to buy to do this correctly. Who's number 2?
The city.
I got all those documents. Who am I going to go see now?
County zoning.
Very good. Your county zoning people. That's who I'm going to go see. I'm going to go talk to them with my documents. This is what I'm planning to do. This is what my property looks like. This is what I want. What do I need to do to make this happen? Okay. Who's number 3? I'll give you a hint. Mayhem, Gecko, Flow.
Your insurance.
Bingo. You want to make sure you have your insurance covered because there's been many cases where people assume, quote unquote, that the tower was covered. And when they had an incident, guess what? The insurance people came up there and said, what tower? And it wasn't covered, and that was on you. Who's number 4? Name starts with Miss.
Utility?
Bingo, Miss Utility. Make sure you talk to Miss Utility to have the ground completely marked. Not only where you're gonna put it, but where you're gonna put the guys. Why? Because if you hit anything underground, guess who's paying to fix it? You are. So make sure you do that before you put up any major structures. In this state, we have a really good resource, John, AA1K, who has a tower business, and I have nothing to do with him. I have no way I'm being compensated in any way. But John is a wealth of knowledge about putting up towers and support structures for towers. And it behooves you to talk to him before you do anything. Okay, to continue on, the status of pending rules. The ARL continues lobbying efforts with Congress and maintains close ties as possible with the FCC. But we don't have any inside information. We don't know anything about what the FCC is going to do. So there's no way that we know, hey, this rule's coming up or that's coming up. State-by-state actions should be coming from your state government liaisons, like this CCR bill that's being worked on by the state. Next, please. Licensing testing questions. There's regulatory information, which are general inquiries about what's required. Next. ARL VECs. If you had to take a test and you have problems with the test session, licensing, the test session itself, question pool, talk to the ARL VEC department. If you got problem with the way that the testing was run, talk to the ARL VEC. That's who those guys report to. Next, please. Any miscellaneous? Frequency coordination, ARL doesn't have anything to do with that. Next, band planning, that's at board level. Look, RFI ordinances, CB related. Again, there's some information out there you can get. There's books you can buy about RFI these days. With everything being digital, it's not as much a problem as it could be, but you still can run into problems, especially with half the stuff that comes from overseas. It's usually on our end, not theirs. And any legislative action, you have grassroots groups that are working on that. Next, please. Any questions? Call the Regulatory Information Office. You can either email them there, or there's an 860 number up there in Connecticut. You can talk to them. Next. That's it. Any questions, anybody? I saw some comments up there. I just couldn't read them here.
Joe?
Foster had some questions.
Yes. Who is it, Foster?
No, Mike.
Okay, sorry.
No, sorry. So one of the things that I found out, maybe you can confirm or not, but the deed restrictions, regardless of whether you're aware of them or not, when you're buying a house, they're yours.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, look, when you sign that document, whatever's on that document, you're being held to.
That's right.
And that's why I tell people, when you sit down at that table, you need to take the time to really understand beforehand what you're doing. And number two, you need to have a realtor that really understands the situation that you're in. Because if you're going to go look at a house, and I know for the last 4 or 5 months, housing's been insane, but you really have to understand what you're going to do, because once you sign that paper, you're done. There's really nothing you do to get out of it.
Listen, none of the neighborhoods in Delaware right now that have been built in the last 20, 30, even 40 years has any kind of relief to antenna requirements. Unless you live on a piece of property that is not held to a covenant, right? Which is becoming far and few here in Delaware.
I do.
But there will be something here that I think Joe and the ARL needs to get on their butt and work on, and that is every 20 years, those covenant rules have to be renegotiated with the neighborhoods. And typically those covenant rules are created by the builder at the time of these neighborhoods being built. So therefore, that's why the restrictions are ridiculous. Okay, in other words, you can't even put a fountain, a bird fountain in front of your house, right? The bottom line is when these restrictions start to come up for review, homeowners like me need help going into these renegotiations where we can come up with a compromise that allows us to put something up. I mean, granted, I'm living on a half an acre lot or a third acre lot. I'm not going to put a tower up. I think that's ridiculous, right? I mean, I know some crazy people who would, but I mean, the point simply is there is reason, there's rationale, and there's how you say, you need to compromise, right?
Right.
And there's nobody here. You know, this is where we need advocacy to come in and say, when these things come up, we can make some changes on these rules that allow us to at least put some antenna up on the roof over.
That's what the bill downstate is trying to do.
Mhm.
There is a, Senator Pettyjohn is working on a bill, excuse me, for Sussex County, and we're hoping it moves throughout the state to try to relieve some of the CCRs for amateurs. Now, again, define reasonable. What Chet may say is reasonable versus what I say is reasonable could be as different as day and night.
Right.
Yeah.
But that is a start.
But I think that's where
the ARRL has been working with FEMA. It has been working with FEMA to try to get a general acceptance.
Yes,
for
I mean, like, you
CNR.
got to have some, how do you say, at least a foundational or fundamental compromise. You could say, like, nothing above 5 feet of the roof of your pitch of your house. You know, like things like that give you some working leverage in this process. You know.
No argument there at all.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I
wish
mean,
I was
tell
a lawyer.
Wendy she can't have a Wolf River coil on her back porch. That's just stupid, you know. For 15 feet.
I know that
And I faced woods too, like nobody sees it.
Yeah, I mean, really.
You know,
Yeah.
I listen. I had a brainstorm the other day. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have my roof replaced soon. I may just run some wire underneath the tarp before they put the roof down. Right? I mean, think about that.
I'll tell. I don't know if you guys remember Randy, that used to be our SM here in Delaware. Some of the old timers may do. He had a W0 call, if I remember correctly. The only way he could get on the Delaware traffic net was to take a water bottle attached to a wire and fling it out his sliding glass door onto a tree. And he dropped the counterpoise off the side of his porch. And that's the way he got on 80 meters. And when he got done, yanked all this
He
in.
improvised. Right.
Yep.
I knew of another hand personally that was newly licensed, VHF contest fan, would get up, put his antennas up on Saturday, operate his contest to his heart's content, and take everything down Sunday. His neighbors never had a squawk because it wasn't permanent. So, not saying that this is perfect in any way, shape, or form, because I don't want to be out there in the rain taking something down either. But there are ways to compromise.
Plenty of antennas
Another
you
way
can
I
put on
heard.
top of your picnic table in
What's
place
that?
of an umbrella. You have plenty of
Yeah.
antennas you can put in place of a picnic table umbrella for 2 days, you know.
Sure. Another one I heard of, guy wanted to operate HF, okay? He had HF mounted on his truck. He would back it up to his house, run a wire through the window and operate HF all he wanted. It wasn't on the house, they couldn't say anything.
Well, look at what I'm doing and nobody really knows it. I'm using the rain gutter and downspout.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, since I'm on the 3rd floor, I've got 35 feet of downspout and about 12 feet of rain gutter. And, you know, but the wire is kind of like screwed in there. When they go to redo my deck, I'm going to have to dismantle all that.
Don't worry about it.
You know, but that's a
You got
couple
it.
of years from now. But, you know, I know we have to be creative and,
Sometimes you
know,
do.
but, you know,
Sometimes none of us can get what we really want. Not everybody can have a tri-bander on a 50-foot tower in the backyard.
Well, I had my, Joe, to tell you, I had my antenna up on my roof for the last 4 years, you know, like I kind of kept it covert. And finally, I got a letter in the mail from the Homeowners Association last weekend.
wow, after 4 years.
4 years. And you know something? I ain't taking nothing down. Because they got no empowerment to do anything other than to put a deed restriction on me, which means I'll take it down when I go to move.
Right.
Think about it.
Yep.
They can't
Joe,
find it.
Joe, I
They
really
don't, no
appreciate.
finding.
Joe, I appreciate the presentation that you did today. We can share this with the group if they'd like to have it. I don't know. What do you think? You know, because there were
I don't
some
really think there's
key,
anything restrictive. No, I mean, if you want to do that, I don't see what's
It's on the
wrong.
Zoom anyway.
yeah, it's on the Zoom.
It's
Well,
on
Right.
the Zoom.
yeah,
Yeah,
you'll
that you
you'll
could-
see that. So I need to move on, but like I said, I had heard part of the presentation and I knew it was valuable. You know, those of us who are paid league members, we need to keep them active in trying to be our advocates when they can
Yep.
on issues like this, you know, to help us advocate with our state representative and, you know, and
The one
your
thing, if you have a
Congress.
question, give them a call. I mean, normally I've had very good response from the league if I had a question. And they'll be more than happy to tell you. I mean,
Right.
if they don't know, they'll tell you they don't know. But
And I think John Ferguson coming in July as our new section manager, I think he's been a ham for a long time. And I think that he will also be like you, very proactive and, you know, in making contacts too. So like one of the things that you stressed in that presentation was keep you, AKA the section manager, in the loop with issues. And that's
Absolutely.
something that I never would have considered before. So that was very valuable to know
Okay.
that, you know. So anyway, I appreciate that. Does anybody
Thank
have
you.
any pressing questions that you have for Joe? Because we do need to move on so Alan can start his field day presentation. No, thank you very,
Hey,
very
thanks
much.
for your time, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Joe.
Joe.
Thanks,
Really
Joe.
appreciate that. That was excellent. Very, very good. All righty, moving right along. El Jefe Emeritus.
We'll get a drink.
Okay.
You,
So before I throw a presentation up, I just want to make sure, you know, we need to look at the clock, not only right now, but between now and field day. That's the important thing that I want to make sure everybody keeps in mind here, because we are 5 weeks out right now, okay? Almost 4 weeks out. So I want to make sure, keep that in mind as we are, we keep this presentation going. Because there's a lot of open items here, and I'm hoping we can get some of them resolved regarding, you know, you'll see in a second on how we move forward. So I'm going to take the screen over, okay?
yep,
Wendy?
it's all yours. I'm
Okay,
gonna go ahead and mute. Right.
All right. Let's see what I'm going to grab here. I'm going to grab this. Share that. We will go full screen. Can everyone see that? Just want to make sure. Can I get a thumbs up?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, great. Okay, so field day to 2022. Right out of the ARRL webpage. For those who are for first timers for field day, it's a 1 day event, 24-hour event typically, and we try to make as many contacts within that 24-hour period typically on all the HF bands except for 60, 30, and 17 meters. Those are off limits for field day. 50 megahertz, 6 meters and higher are open to for opportunity. This year we might get some luck if we want to play around with 6 meters with the bands opening. Or even 10 meters is going to be great this year. I think we might have some great opportunities there. And like I said, the intent is to work within the regions. We typically work within Canada and the U.S., Region 2. And I'm trying to think if I catch it. And the last bullet there, each claim contact must include a contemporaneous direct initiation by the operator on both sides of the contact. Initiation of a contact may either be locally or remote. Now that was actually added on from last year, so I think we already know that if we've been doing this over the years. The fact is, you make a contact with someone, they have to validate the contact on the receiving end as well. So to keep that in mind. All right. This year we're going to host it up at Lumps Pond. Typically over the last few years we've had it up at Springer Middle School. This year we're going to just mix it up a little bit. We're going to go down to the park down there, and we're going to set up down in the Lumps Pond. And the date is June 25th to June 26th. And for, again, the new folks, We typically meet up around 0900 or 9 o'clock in the morning to do setup till around noon. And the contesting, or in this case, the contacting, starts around 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 25th. And it continues on to around 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 26th. And then we do breakdown. So any questions on this first slide as I move forward? Okay. So I did a couple of things here. I want to give everybody a little site survey to get a better understanding of where we're setting up this year. This year, again, we're leveraging, we're going to use, we've actually rented out for the weekend the youth camping area at Lumps Pond, and it's in the upper, like, northeast corner where the yellow star is. For those who have phones, there's a little QRC code in the corner there if you want to make it. You can actually jump in and take a look at it on Google Maps if you want. And what I want to do here, I'm going to pause a second, is I put together a little video, and I'm running on Windows 2020, and somehow MP4s don't run very well on there. So I'm going to hold on a second here. I'm going to stop the share, and let me bring up the video. Here is the, well, where is the video? Where are you, video? Give me a second here. Here we are. Okay. All right, I gotta bring up QuickTime for this. This is an MP4. For some reason, PowerPoint doesn't work very well with, the new PowerPoint doesn't work very well with MP4s. All right, here we go. All right, so this is a video that I put together using Google Maps. Let's see if this works. Can you folks see the map, the video screen?
Yes.
Yep.
So you can see this is a LiDAR data with trees, and you get a three-dimensional look at the campsite. And you can see there's a large area there, and we have a bunch of, like a lot of trees around surrounding the area, but it's again a campsite. It's a primitive campsite. Okay. And then when this thing zooms out, I'll see if I can put a pause on this. So you get an idea that we'll probably be setting up in the area right there in the middle. Okay, I'm going to jump back to the slides.
The clearing has lots of room for some sticks up in here.
Yes, there's a lot of room, and I'll show you that in a second. That continues on with the presentation here. I'm going to stop share. And I'm going to reshare. Sorry, guys. We'll get this going here. Alrighty, I think that's where I left off. Yep. PowerPoint master. That's what I am. That's what I do. Okay. So back to the video, the presentation. So here's a snapshot looking at it with some dimensions. And this is the one thing that I wanted to get everyone's attention here, because from the top of the campsite, we have about 280 feet deep that we can go into this area here, and we can set up anywhere within this area, which is a large area. The average tree height, which I took a measurement, I mensurated some measurements, and they run around between 40 to 60 feet around the campsite. So we got some significant height within the campsite itself. And then one added bonus is that we already have the porta potties stood up on site at the campsite. One of the few things I want to note on there is the places to park, because this year when we did the Winterfield Day, the rangers were very, enforcing the parking regulations of where you park your vehicles. You can't just randomly park things. So they have pretty much marked out areas where you can park your vehicles around the campsite. Now, the thing I want to mention to this too is that, and I really want to open this up to some of the members here, is that we rented this campsite. This facility is ours for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So I want everyone to consider the fact that even though we set up our tents, our shacks, we still have a lot of space if folks want to bring their camping equipment and bring your kids and may want to set up and utilize the space while you're there. It's pretty nice. It's like I said, they got a campground. They have picnic tables already there, and they have some fire pits to work with. So this gives you an idea of the layout. Okay, so before I move on, any questions about the area, the facilities itself. All right. So, first thing we need to do is a couple things. I was going to ask the question, but I figured I'll just go ahead and jump right in here. Are we going to be a 2A this year? Are we going to have 2 stations this year, or we want 2 stations? Typically, we've done this in the past. We've had a station set aside for voice and CW, and we've set a station aside for digital. And I think that's always worked for us. The only logistics issue that we have to work with is the antenna configuration with doing so. So I want to put that out there first, and of course these are the items that we typically would need to set up those particular stations, and I'm to kind of get things moving. So without any, I have I guess a couple of questions. Folks who are willing to want to participate or have their participate with their equipment. I mean, I personally have been bringing my Go kit. I brought it last year, my IC7300 Go kit with a VHF UHF radio. I can cover the 2 bases on the setup there. So for the digital, I think we pretty easy to set that up, or we can use that for voice and CW if we wish to. So I leave the questions out to folks there. What we need now is any volunteers with equipping.
Okay, so I'm building right now an HF Go kit with a Yaesu 891. So I was going to be bringing that. I just got the inverter generator today, the 4500 inverter generator that operates on dual fuel. I can't transport this puppy. It's 100 pounds. Right. But if somebody had a pickup truck, wanted to, pick it up, take it down there, I would be more than happy to contribute a generator to the cause for the weekend. Just need to have somebody transport it.
Well, if Jerry can put that on his trailer, I can take that down and carry along a
Well, I was going to say he'll probably let somebody borrow his trailer and the thing,
I've got one I was going to bring anyway, and bring that as a spare if you like. It's very noisy 4 kW construction grade deal, but yours is probably a lot better for the equipment.
And for antennas, I got a pickup truck. I'd be glad to help transport your generator down there. I also picked up a Go kit at Field Day.
And so, Wendy, you know what I have.
I was thinking about giving that a good test out as well.
Okay, all right. Jerry had a comment to make.
Sorry.
You're muted, Jerry.
I don't see Paul here tonight, but I had talked to him a couple of months ago, and he was planning on bringing his antenna for the DigiStation like we have the last couple of years. Does anyone talk to him, or do we know if that's coming?
Well, I could reach out to Paul. I mean, I haven't seen Paul. Paul's been on briefly, but we haven't had much real dialogue with that. Yeah, that's something we can do.
Okay. I sent him an email just now asking, what the situation was, and I'll let you know. But obviously, as always, I'm glad to help.
Yeah, so, one thing I'll say, though, is the one opportunity that we have here is antennas. I mean, obviously, we can stick with some simple end-fed wire antennas as well. In essence. I mean, think about it. If we could do an end-fed and stretch that out 200 feet, you can almost hit the 160 bands, with an end-fed. It may not be the most efficient antenna, but it'll at least be something that we can work with, like Field Day. I would like to try that, and they're cheap to put together. I mean, I have an end fed that I can actually, donate for this to work with as well. So,
hey, Ted, you had your hand raised.
Yes, I'm sorry. We'll make sure that your future Go kit, if not in proper context, at least the makings of it will be ready by then. Let's just say that. And you know what I have, the Zigu suitcase, and it does digital. So I mean, if you want to use that. For
listen, and Ted, truth be told, that's another thing too. I take no issue if you want to, drop your transceiver into this during, you say, a session that you're running. we can always reconfigure as such.
Well, yeah, just having, I'm just saying out loud that, people with backups,
Right.
I know that everybody else shares this feeling. If you bring something that doesn't get used, there's no hurt over it.
Right.
But to have the capacity in hand,
Right.
and
Redundancy.
aerial wise, or yeah, exactly. Well, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Why not? And
So-
and I'm going to plan to bring a tent and get some food. I'll give my wife out there. That'd be beautiful. But at least
To bring a tent, that's great.
I've got a tent that hasn't been used ever since we bought it 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I miss
So-
that. So yeah, let's do that.
So Alan, just to recap here. So basically we're gonna have 2 HF stations. One's gonna be voice or CW set up for that. The other one's only going to be digital. So does that mean that we're only doing voice and CW on one radio? I mean, even if we have 7 radios because people brought them.
We typically do it that way because for logistics reasons, Wendy, the digital stations needs a dedicated computer on it. Okay,
Right.
so to be bouncing computers in and out on a radio, it's doable, but I think it's simple just to kind of say, let's just set aside one station with the computer, with the radio, and then the other station, like I said, the nice thing about the other station is if we set up CW, I know like Mike and a lot of folks like to bring their own keys and they use their key, they just plug their keys in and they work with those
Okay.
with their equipment.
All right. Well,
So-
just to reiterate, so I have a signal link for my 891. So, and I've been working up one of my older laptops to be able to do digital modes, downloading the software and starting to build that up too. So, so we can have some redundancy of swapping back and forth. So if we've got a couple of people who have done that, they want to bring their computers, they want to bring, their radios and test their systems out. This is a good training, it's contesting and training and like we did for Winter Field Day, we did emergency stuff set up, with bare wires and whatever. So, in other words, we're only going to be broadcasting at any given time from 2 radios using our club call.
And
Is-
it's
am
a
I-
numbered state park, so throw that puppy on QRP on a frequency that
Yeah,
doesn't
I was gonna say,
interfere,
we could be
Bob's your
doing,
uncle.
we could do.
So you only can have
doing
2
POTA.
stations transmitting at a time if we're 2A. We can't have.
Well, not on. I'm saying another radio that happens to be within.
Yeah, using the
100 yards
club
is not
call
part of
sign.
field day.
I'm going to get to that next.
Right.
So anyway, this is the typical configuration. Now, in the past, like I've said, we've bounced around on the digital. It's been, I know Jerry brought his stuff one year. I brought mine like 7300 last year in the Go Kit. I know Chet has been always brought the K3 on station 1. If Chet's partaking, I don't know if Chet you are or not. If you want to bring your radio, look, we're all open to that. If not, we can find alternative transceivers for the first station. Over. Okay. So the other thing is I brought up. This is more optional, and we haven't talked to Paul in the past. We've actually had the mesh network stood up. Providing limited internet access. It was always been hit or miss, but when it worked really well. And of course, the secondary VHF/UHF station. One of my thoughts was to, again, I have a 2760 whatever ICOM in my Go Kit, and I already have a packet, device. We could set that up, use it for voice, or we could set it for beacon if we want to do an APRS beacon. Where we're at down there. That would be kind of a way we could set that up as well. So that's the VHF UHF, and then the last, which is probably the more the logistics issues that I think we need to be looking at here right now. The K3F call sign. Since I'm kind of new at this, somebody needs to help me out here about going out there and trying to get the call sign, call letters for this year.
I think I got it in January.
Oh, you got them. Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So I can check that box there. All right. And then the other piece there, which we tend to need a little work on when we get everything all set up, is getting the logging software network between the 2 computers so that we can get, so we can actually capture our contacts collectively during field day.
Yeah, in the past, I had worked with Paul and a few others to get that set up prior to field day, so some of this will depend on his response, but yeah, we should do that.
Fantastic.
Alan?
Yes.
This is Chet. I'm sorry, we were muted when you were asking about whether or not I was going to bring my rig, and I answered, but I didn't realize we were muted.
I'm sorry.
And certainly you can use my K3. I'll bring it, and if another radio is used, that's fine.
No, Chet, I really appreciate that. Because that has been one of our mainstays, the K3. You know, for field day. So that would be appreciated, and we can look at the other. You know, Wendy, you mentioned the FT, your Yaesu there. We can have that as a backup if we need to. Okay.
Hey, Alan, I had a question.
Yes, Mike.
And it's in regards to logging.
Yes.
So in there you have network logging software.
Yes.
Do we really need that with respect to if we have two stations? What's the advantage of having that thing networked?
Mike, the advantage is simple. It's the contest between the digital and analog guys. That's why we count, right, Jerry? We count.
Yeah,
Jerry.
there is that, but the other important thing is that we can both see what sections we have worked and what we haven't.
Yeah.
When we're at the point where we need to hunt for things we're missing, everyone knows what's going on, what the status is.
Well,
I agree with Jerry.
But the issue is that's probably only going to apply to the sideband and CW one, because you're going to work everything, the FT8 stuff or FT4, whatever you run in a digital. You're not going to say, I don't know if I should work him for his county. That's going to apply to the CW.
Wow.
No, I strongly disagree.
Me too.
On past experience.
But
and it causes no harm. And it's
Mike, it really doesn't take much to set it up.
Aversion to it.
You
what?
what?
Was that, Mike?
What's the aversion to having it there?
I just think that it's just an extra piece to have. Why can't you just have two computers running the same thing? So if the stations are 200 feet apart, that means you gotta run 200 feet of cable between the two stations.
That's probably the only disadvantage, Mike. Yes. Other than that,
really,
it actually
There's
outweighs.
ways to join two computers together without wire.
I guess we could use 440.
How about like commercial grade Wi-Fi, like
exactly.
access points?
All you need is a Wi-Fi node.
That's very true.
And frankly, running 200 feet of Ethernet is not a big deal.
Yeah, but it is at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Nonetheless,
so many trips over.
Or
anyway, okay.
So
if you want to do that,
or a lightning strike nearby, of course.
Well, those two things sound like then it's worth it.
Listen. The truth be told, Mike, it isn't. To me, this is like on my lower tier issue of priority issues here. I think this will get resolved. And we probably more likely will resolve it right there on site, and we'll take care of it either through a hotspot or we'll do it through a direct network-to-network connection.
Okay, you guys handle that then.
Yeah,
right.
we're the networking guys.
Yeah. A quick question related to that is: do we know who's contributing the computers?
Well, do we have one in the club? Right, we have one. I mean, I have a laptop that I can clearly lend out that I've used that has all the software on it. I have no issue with that. I've done it, you know.
And I think I had one also, so I will check and I'll send you an email.
Okay. And I have the other laptop that we've used and configured in field day too. So don't need a lot of doesn't need a lot of power to do the things we're doing. You know, CPU power. Okay. Tents. I think we all know we have the tents. That's right. Rich, you got the tents?
Yes. I got about a cubic yard of stuff in my shed at work.
As you keep reminding us.
Yeah. Well, you got like one more year. I'm going to retire and somebody else has to store it. Let's see. So we have tents, and we have a barbecue grill, We have plates and cutlery. We have a lamp in there for the operating table.
Yeah.
And there may be some of the paperwork at the bottom, and you just have to bring your own bug spray. And you're going to need it down there too. It's pretty buggy down there.
Yeah, that's why I got it on the bottom of the list. Bug spray.
And regarding food, I had an email from Jennifer, and she is actually off that weekend, and she has volunteered to cook.
Wow.
And I told her, I said, I do not want you footing the bill for this. I said,
No.
we need, but and I said, and I don't want you just coming down, dropping off food, and leaving. I hope you stay. And she said, yep, I'm off and I want to stick around. I was like,
good.
So
let me know what we're having, because if I don't need to bring the grill, I won't. But if we are going to have burgers and things like that, I'll go to Costco and buy the burgers. They have really good burgers there.
Oh, how about anybody who has access to it, bring an armload of, firewood. I can, bring a bundle. Somebody else brings a bundle. Pretty soon you've got.
The only
well, we have those fire pits there. And when we used to do bivouacs with the cadets for emergency services training, we would use those fire pits. Number one, in the evening, it helps keep the bugs away. But we could also, do s'mores and whatever else for the evening for those of us who are hanging around.
Drink beer,
But
Is there a limit on the? Is there a limit on the firewood that you have to use a certain type?
No.
No.
Normal firewood, but I'm in favor of doing grilling out burgers, as part of the food. So I'm putting that request in. Let's bring the grill, bring the burgers.
Bring a grate or something for over top of that, and you can sit there and burn your meat.
Yeah, as long as there's a grate or something that you could set the things on, will be good.
Well, yeah, we'll need for the fire pit though. Yeah, if you're going to do anything in the fire pit though for other stuff, you will need a grate. I don't think that they
So Rich, I think we should just bring the grill and play it safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the grill with the burgers, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so whoever buys food, get charcoal, 2 bags.
Okay. Charcoal. Gotta get that on the list.
Kingsford charcoal. Kingsford. I also have tools. I have the tools for the grill tools.
Oh, okay.
We also have antennas. We have coax. We have a lot of coax. We have dipoles for 40 and 80. And we probably need to build. We either need to use a different antenna, or we need to put up a 20-meter. We need to build a 20-meter dipole, and we have 2 or 3 sets of 40-foot masts that I have in that shed also that belong to the club.
Well, so we need some stakes and some rope so we can guy it. And
these are all one kits, the Army things with the green poles.
Oh, those things. Oh, yeah.
We got hammers and stakes and guys and everything else, so we don't need any of that.
All right.
All right. So, and then, so we got the grills. We got the grill. By the way, BBG. I don't know what that is, but probably cute grills. Food, plates, and cutlery. There are benches there. Bring your own chairs. I think everybody should know that. We say that over and over. Bring your own chair. Just throw a chair in the back of your car just to have it. Or they have benches there. That's one nice thing about the place is at least there are a few benches. You got the lamps. Applications. I don't think we're going to be... We can bring the applications. I don't think we're going to have people showing up for... They never have. And the flyers and signs. We could put the banners out on 70, was it 72 out there?
71.
71, thanks.
You might want to get some kind of like either the banner or like balloons or something, because I was there in November and there were people that could not find that area because it's a little bit hidden.
Hey, show the intersection again. Show the little store, the little...
we have banners. We have signs.
You go north of there to
we
the
got
right.
all kinds of stuff to
Go
stick
to the
out
right.
there. We have a club banner. We have some other things. So we got the signs covered.
No, back one.
Oh, you want to go here?
One more. Right there. Yeah, it's a little bit past that three-way intersection.
Yeah, go north to the right and up a little bit. Right there's a little store. There's a beer store. How do you miss that? And a train crossing. Okay, so you just all you have to do is go south on 71 about almost not even yet half a mile. It's on the right there.
Oh yeah, there's an ice cream place there
Yeah,
too.
well, not anymore. It became a beer store. Almost as good.
You can't get ice cream there anymore?
Nope, you can get beer.
And they closed up.
Ice cold beer.
You get beer though.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but there's a barbecue place there.
It is a bar. Yeah, it's a rib place.
Oh.
You guys are cracking me up now.
Hey, Wendy, last question. Under supplies, logistics, do we have a well-equipped first aid kit?
That, when you're working around electricity, we should have a first aid kit, right?
I would think it's being
Trauma kit.
a couple of base bandages, antiseptic, stuff like that.
I'll have a couple
A&D.
kit and fire extinguisher.
There's a
and stuff
first aid
like
kit
that.
in the box.
There's a first aid kit there. Right? And by
Yeah,
the
but
way,
we're gonna need ones that
Where's our
deal with
safety
bugs.
officer?
yeah. So let me also. Well, let's pause for public notice on this one. So for all again new folks, you need to wear clothes, boots. We bring a hard hat if you have, and gloves. Usually that's the thing. Working gloves. Those are kind of required when we do the setup. I mean, you can't do CW with workman gloves. That would be an interesting thing. That'd be an interesting thing to do.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, let's say, for example, someone might, scrape their hands, cut the knees, or kids are there, they're going to fall, get scrapes, whatever else. Simple stuff, 4x4s, some adhesive tape, whatever.
We do have Rich. You mentioned we have a first aid kit in our stuff.
Yes, and our stuff. I believe there is a first aid kit.
Wendy, you and I will talk on that, okay?
But if you think we're going to need more, bring it. Bring sutures too. I have a tendency to cut my fingers, and you can just stitch me up right.
Super glue.
Super glue.
Hey, it works in surgery, trust me.
I know, sir. Super glue. My father was an electrician. It was electrical tape.
When you put a hip joint in, you use super glue, believe it or not.
Oh gosh.
It works.
Okay. Did I miss anything on here?
What about a sign-up sheet?
Well, that's next. How's that? I like them apples. So, so typically, and this has always been a big question. Most of the previous members will tell you we set up the sign up sheet, and then what happens? Nobody signs up, and then we get a few stragglers. I really, really want to emphasize that everyone who's new, that's been joining the club over the last 2 years, 3 years even, who has not gone out and sat in the seat and did contesting or work digital, come on down. You get mentored, you get elmered. We're here. That's why we're here. We're here to help. We're here to. Nobody's going to yell at you for not doing it right. Although Mr. Newman's no longer around here, so I guess we got a little relief. I remember Greg yelling at me all the time when I was singing the seat.
Yeah, we're interested in having a fun time.
Yes.
Not in scoring the most points.
Right. Well, yeah, we're not here to try to. We strive for to try to hit as many states. That's what we strive for. That'll be nice, just to try to get the states, as many states as we can. But we're not contesters. But this is a fun club. We want folks to come out, and we want you to learn and use this opportunity to learn from others. That's really the intent of our field day event. The other thing is, typically we try to find visitors to come down. Now, I will admit that being down at Lum's Pond, it isn't very convenient for any kind of VIPs to show up. But if anybody knows anybody in local government, state government, and you have a connection and they come down, we get points. We get points for that on field day. So
Invite Biden.
What was that, Mike?
Let's invite Biden because the helicopter could land there.
I invite Joe.
We'll have to get the park ranger to sign the log because I think that'll count for extra points.
Oh, that's a thought, right? So yeah, and let's and I know you guys, some of you guys are much more experienced than I am in a lot of this too. There are other ways of getting bonus points too for a lot of folks who have been haven't done this before. Like if we run on battery for an hour, is it right? Running on what do you call battery or solar for an hour gives you you
Used
get
to be
points.
10 contacts.
Excuse me, sir.
It used to be 10 contacts. It wasn't an amount of time.
Okay. 10 contacts using solar or battery, something alternative, and
Any alternate.
Natural power.
Any alternate power source.
Right.
Posting pictures and videos on your social media sites.
Yeah, social media sites. There's another way. There's lots of ways of just getting extra points for, for ancillary kind of things on the side, on the background. So, again, we're not contesting here. It just gets the points. If, something it's convenient. But I ask of anyone here who has any VIP that they know that they would want them to come down and just, come down, check us out, just do a drive-by. We get points. I think that's all I got.
I have the page up. I can let you know what we get points for if you want.
You want to pop that up? I'll give you the share.
Do that.
Okay, here it comes. You should be able to share.
Let me get there. Share.
I thought it was a contest.
No, it's actually not a contest, even though it's treated like one. It's an operating event.
We have operating event, and we have computerized software to do it too. So it's a contest.
That's why all the Europeans have like kilowatt transceivers and stuff.
So emergency power. These are the lists of what you get. So emergency power is one of them. Media publicity. So we used to just be able to walk into the radio station. So I'm not sure what we're going to do now. Maybe someone can still get them with something on the air. Public location. A public information table, which we usually have. A message origination to the section manager.
Right.
We usually do with just handhelds at the site. Message handling for formal messages up to a maximum. It's 10 points each for up to 10 of them, which I think is relatively new. Satellite QSO, which I don't think we're equipped to do, but who knows? I know some of our members are doing satellite work. And then there's alternate power, copying the W1AW bulletin.
That's all easy stuff, right? We do that every year.
Yep. Educational activity, so we need to hold a class. This is the one you were just talking about, site visitation by an elected governmental official. Or site visitation by a representative of an agency. That's where the park ranger can get his points.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a whole complicated go to bonus thing. And then if we submit it on the web, we get an extra 50 points. And then
What was that first one, Jerry? The very first one you said.
The very
first
top.
one?
At the very top. Sure. Easy to go to.
Keep
100%
going.
emergency power. There's the
100 points per transmitter. So if we could get 200 points if we ran the digital station for that, right?
Yes.
For both.
Matter of fact, we could run. You think about this. Maybe we take the first hour, or we pick an hour, or whatever, some time, just a time limit, right? And we drop in our QRP radios in the place of the big radios, and just try to make some contacts with those one doing CW, the one doing.
That
has to be for
we are running emergency power.
We are running emergency power.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm
that's
thinking
two transmitters then. We get 200 points for that.
I'm
Yes.
wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's if all contacts are made using the emergency power source. So yes, the go to station of VHF, blah blah blah, don't apply. So yes, 200 points for that. And scrolling down to where I was, that we get 100 points for having a safety officer, 100 points for social media. So someone put out something on our Facebook. And we have a couple of points here which are a little complicated, for field day youth participation.
That's pretty straightforward with social media, but
somebody should reach out to Frank AD3M. I don't know if he's been here. I haven't seen him in the few times I've been here, but I haven't seen him send an email either.
If
And-
someone 18 or younger participates and completes a QSO, you get 20 points, a maximum of 5, they say up to 100 points. So I'm guessing it's for each participant, you get 20 points.
Right. So people who have children or grandchildren that are old enough to talk into a radio, have
Bring
them
them.
come.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Talk in the radio.
And safety officer, we were joking around about that, but you know, with Jeff being a doctor, me being a nurse, you know, one of us can be quote the safety officer.
You have to wear hard
Well,
hats.
yeah, the safety officer is more about, like when we're
Truly
putting up the
safety.
antennas, they're not participating in that. They're overseeing to stop any
Right.
unsafe situation. I put the link to the field day rules in the chat, so anyone can go and look at it.
Okay.
Well, we start putting these masks up, and you're just gonna have to turn around and look the other way, like most safety people do. It's pretty scary.
Listen, not where I work, man. No, at least not where I'm going to be working for the next 2 days.
Well, I have a hard hat. I think I have a second hard hat as well, so I'll bring a spare. Gloves are important.
So let me, we went through all this here. I know, any questions and comments here?
Right. Can we poll the people that are present on this tonight? How many of you would arrive at the very beginning for setup and plan on being around until Sunday? Like, how many of you are thinking about being there like the whole 24 hours or so?
All 24 hours?
Me.
Well, from start to finish.
Well, it's 24 if you start setting up early. If you start setting
Well,
up.
it's more than 24.
I
Okay.
give you 20 hours. I need 4 hours to stop home and.
Well, okay. So, all right. So some people probably go home, but how many of you are like actually planning to be there pretty much the whole time? I mean, I am.
I've never done it before, but I'm up to the challenge.
All
Yeah.
right. Love that spirit.
So we've got a handful of a good number of people that'll be camping out. One of the reasons I asked this is because the park is going to charge us $5 for people staying overnight. That's not a big deal. Okay, so
It's not a bad
you
breaker.
Yeah. So, but really, seriously, like you were talking about having people sign up. I mean, I personally plan to be there from start to finish. So I'm looking at that I would be on and off, being able to fill in for an hour, you know, saying CQ, field day.
Well, let me ask this question. Let me just pose the question in a different way. How many of you on the call right now plan at least coming down and sitting in the seat and partaking over the 24 hours? Okay, that's important. That's just as important here.
Yeah.
Is that we get people coming down, and I need to make sure. And when you need you obviously now president need to kind of get the word out, because a lot of folks aren't on the call right now, of course, right? But there's a lot of members out there that I think really need to. I think they would come down if they got the, how do you say, save the date kind of message, you know?
Right. Yeah, we can start advertising that now, and yeah.
We've always
in fact, maybe we could even
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
Yeah, right. 9 in the morning, right? Yeah.
Right. In fact, Mike is Mike still here? Oh, there he is. Everybody, when people turn off their cameras and turn them back on again, people move around on my screen. So Mike, maybe we could even put something on the website to also say, you know, hey, save the date. This is what we're going to do for field day. So that way, you know, people can pop on there. All
big letters, 24-point bold letters, Mike.
Yeah, 72 font, you know.
72
bold,
font.
72 font, bold, capital letters, italicized with quote
I'll
marks.
have something up by this weekend.
Fantastic.
We have a Twitter
thing.
people can post to.
Hold on. Yes, Joe.
Before you guys get going on field day, make sure somebody really reads the rules, because I know there's been some subtle changes. If people decide to operate from home, I believe there's been a rule change that you cannot run amplifiers anymore. So you can't go home and kick on your 1.5 kW. You have to be at 100 watts. So double check the rules before you guys get started, so you stay out of trouble.
I only wish I could run 100.
You also can't make contact with your club.
Yes, right, Mike.
Yeah, there's a number of rules everybody should be aware of, because you got people coming in and going home and whatever, so you make sure that, you know, you're legal and everything's okay, because I hate to see the club penalized because somebody was trying to help and didn't know better.
I just put a link into the chat, which is from the ARRL site, which talks about what
New rules.
what new and changed rules went into effect this year.
And also on field day, if you're at home and you hear the club station, don't work the club station because the points don't count.
Right, they null out.
Yeah.
We have to go through the log. Well, when I did this, I used to go through the log and I looked for people that I recognized and delete them out of the log before I submitted the score. So you can work them, but to tell them not to log it. So.
Yeah. I'm trying to think anyway. I guess really for me right now, the outstanding issue is we talk about generator. We have to do get a survey going here on the site survey on the antenna configurations. We have Paul potentially bringing his antenna. If not, we have some options on the table there. It'd be nice to get multi-band antennas because it'll be a lot easier than having to switch things in and out. But we'll work those issues. We'll get the logistics of that taken care of.
You have that DX Commander.
Well, yeah, actually, Mike was mentioning his, what was it, Mike, that you have? That the
butternut we use.
Butternut. You know, and again, I mean, you shoot up a wire straight up 60 feet up into a tree. That's good, some good height there. So all you need is an antenna tuner on the bottom end of that, and you should be good to go. Again, not the most efficient, but it's something. You know.
What about an outbacker or I forget what the name of the other one is. Ted.
Screwdriver.
No.
What's that one that? Yeah, you're muted. What are the two that I've got on loan from Marv right now? One's an outbacker, and the other one is.
Oh yeah, it's the one where you plug the wire in at different points up and down along a helical ground.
Again, I have you know, if you guys see my
Sounds like a buddy pole.
Yeah.
I have a buddy pole. I have a you know, again, my truck has, I can put a 25-foot mast on my truck for at least the VHF UHF antennas. We can do that. Leave that set up for that. You know, and I'll leave the truck there, you know, during the weekend. And you can use that as our antenna mast there for that if we don't have another mast. So we have again, I think what we're going to wind up doing is kind of looking at what we have in our box of toys and see how we can come up with the best configuration. Now, for me, this is a pain because I like to plan things to death. But at the same time, this is an opportunity to say, hey, how do we do things kind of off the cuff a little bit here? You know what I'm saying? So.
Just like we did for
yeah, something you want to try, bring it.
Yeah, winter field day was fun.
Yeah. A balloon or a kite?
Antenna?
We can arrange that.
It can be done.
As you bring a vertical, make sure you bring lots of ground radials.
How about a sailboat with a 20-foot mast on top of the mast?
Wasn't there an issue at Winter Field Day with not putting wires in trees?
If there was, we didn't pay attention to it.
Well, that's why we have 30, 40-foot poles that we can pull antennas up on.
Yeah, and also the wire antenna issue there was it was over in the campground area there. So you know, the actual campers, and I think that was part of the problem.
Oh, was it?
Anything we put up, we should be able to pull back. We should be able to pull down.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I know the state park frowns on you sticking anything in trees, regardless of where it is. You're not supposed to dig holes. You're not supposed to pick up rocks, and you're not supposed to mess with the trees.
Yeah.
So there. How do you put in stakes?
Well, same thing with camp tents. How do you put a?
Well, you just put them in.
Yeah,
and
do it all the time.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's different.
Yeah.
You have to put them in, but I mean, you can put in tent stakes.
I mean, you're not digging holes like fence post holes or something, you know.
Yeah.
No ground rods.
Listen, we got to get moving here. It's 9:30. You got to close your meeting, by the way, because it is kind of running late. I guess at this point we'll do the correspond through the mailer. I just want to let you folks know, for me personally, next week is going to be a rough week for me because I'm transitioning out of my job. I've been working for 37 years into a new job. So it's going to be a little bit, I mean, I'll be on board, I'll be on the network and stuff, but I won't have time next week, at least while I'm setting up to kind of do anything specific. So, but I just want to make you guys know, if you don't hear from me next week, I didn't drop anything. I'm just out of pocket for a short while. Okay.
Somebody wake up Dave Scott.
Is he asleep again? Dave Scott.
Wake up! He's there.
Wake up, Dave.
There he is. He's reclining.
That's why I turned my camera off so you can't see me catnapping over
See, there you go.
Ah, okay.
You think I can make an antenna out of a fishing rod and go fishing in the pond while we're working?
I gotta tell you something. If we could set an antenna up next to that pond, we'd be in it, man, because that pond would actually help propagate. You know.
Well, this was an excellent meeting. Great presentations from everybody. And anybody have any final comments? Because we can keep this going over the next couple of weeks through the reflector and
How about a history lesson, a short one?
I'm sorry.
How about
Rich?
a history lesson, a short one? History lesson, a short one.
A short history lesson.
Yes. Lum's Pond in about the early 1800s was actually called Little Jersey. And when they built the C&D Canal, it was a town there. And the town was where the people that were working on the canal lived. I don't think the pond was there then. I have some really old maps. And but yeah, so if we're going to be there, that's what it was, Little Jersey, and that's where the people that built the canal lived.
Oh, wow, cool.
We need to make a special.
Here's some
card
additional.
for that.
Here's some additional. That pond actually was dammed up for a grist mill that didn't last very long, and when they built the original canal, which was a horse towpath, of course it had locks. It had 2 levels of locks to get up to the height of Summit, and then back down again depending on which way you're going. And then they basically took that pond, and that's a feeder source. Because every time you operate the lock, you're losing so many thousands of gallons of water to the Delaware or Chesapeake Bay. So that actually became a feeder for that. That's by the Corps of Engineers.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Well, I think this is going to be cool. And I appreciate everybody who has been used to being up north, entertaining a location down south this year. We do have a lot of our membership that live in that Bear, Glasgow, and south of the canal. So, we'll rotate it this year and we'll go back up north next year. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be something new and different. And I really appreciate everybody's camaraderie and helping us make this successful this year. So thank you very
One more
much.
thing, that we used to have a list. Alan, did you get that when you became president? We used to have a book that we passed along to every president that had information in there about field day, like how many, like we bought this much sodas, this much burgers.
I'll look. I don't think I have that. I don't think I got that, but I'll look. I know I got like a notebook, but I didn't see anything in the notebook.
Is that something you would have, Mike? Would you have?
You talking about the binder?
Yeah, the binder that we had for years.
I didn't have a binder.
Yeah, I know the binder you're talking about. I'll look.
Yeah, Greg may have taken it with him, but
that bum.
No,
the thing is, though, is El Jefe over there needs to make some notes so we can do that binder again. And we
do that binder again.
We say we need, we didn't have this, we need this or whatever. And then next year we'll have a list, that we can work off every year instead of guessing,
Well, that's what I tried to do with the PowerPoint, Rich, was just trying to capture that, those points. So.
Yeah.
I'll look through the club archive.
How many pounds of burger meat do we need?
I guess it depends how many people are there. I'll buy as much as you want. I don't care.
Well, that's what we're probably going to try to do as we get a couple of weeks out to start solidifying how many heads, do we think we're going to have for a big bulk of the time, so that way we have enough food.
Well, especially if they bring in families, if the kids start showing up, that's going to be like too. So
right, yeah, have some hot dogs, have some burgers.
Yeah.
Like who's going to bring their kids, so that way we have some younger age food available. that
You
sort of
need
thing.
coolers and ice, Alan.
Coolers and
on the
ice,
list.
yeah.
Coolers and ice.
And bring ice
Yes.
every time you come back to field day, because you never have enough.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah, I
have
was
too
gonna
much
say-
ice.
Yeah, if everybody has a cooler and they can pack it up with a couple of bags of ice. Yeah.
Yeah, that beer
Yeah.
store does a brisk business. That and the little deli there on the corner do a brisk business in ice every year.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I'm getting
bet.
excited. I like field day.
I know you do.
I'm looking forward to it. All righty. If that's it, we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Oh wow, it's 21:28.
I'll make a motion. We close the meeting.
Can I
Okay,
ask a quick
second.
question?
Yeah.
Sorry, just a second. Somebody said something about a balloon launch, and I hadn't heard anything about that.
That was
Oh,
Earlier in the
Foster.
meeting,
Foster.
Yeah, very early.
Yeah.
Foster.
there was an email.
I thought, yeah, check the email reflector. He sent it out like before the meeting.
Oh, okay, because I
It's
was
Tuesday.
Oh.
It's Tuesday. Check the email.
All right, I'll
Okay.
look for it.
All
Thanks.
righty. So we have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anybody seconding it? Second?
Second.
All righty. This meeting is adjourned.
Hold
Thank
on,
you.
hold on. Those in favor closing the meeting?
Oh. Anybody not?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Okay,
No.
great. We're
Alright.
done.
Stick around.
We're done.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Aye.
everybody.
Night, everybody. My wife.
It was a good meeting.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Nice to see you, Will.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, Will, even though his audio's not working,
Use the bag. I'll take the box.
so.
So